I moved in. On moving in, I got pregnant, I think two months later. My pregnancy was the most beautiful. I had no morning sickness, no nothing, no cravings, no nothing. I was just a normal person with a growing belly. And then there was this one point I remember we were being intimate with Bumpy, and I remember telling him I'm feeling very uncomfortable, very out of breath, and the intimacy just doesn't sound exciting as it used to be. This man looked at me with a straight face and told me, how about you find me a woman that I can be intimate with in your last months of pregnancy, since you're not able to be intimate with me as your husband, because I have needs. I looked at him baffled. I'm like, wow. And he laughed and brushed it off and he left. In the process, there's a friend, I don't know if I should call her a friend, but there's this person that was really into Bumpy and really into me. And Bumpy was also really into this lady, but I wasn't. You see? And this specific lady, we had lost touch, but she wanted to come back into this dynamic. So she was looking for me in social media, looking for Bumpy on his pages and all. So she found me and she's like, oh, I want to visit you guys. Did the relationship move to the next level? I'm like, yeah, we got married and I'm pregnant and I'm almost due. She's like, oh, perfect, let me come and help.
Was she one of the ladies that you'd previously had a threesome with?
Yes. So at this point, and I explained to her, now we're not doing the threesomes, so are you still okay visiting? She's like, yeah, I just want to visit, see how you're doing, so because I still consider you as a friend. I'm like, cool. So she came, she visited. I'm there in the kitchen, because when she came I was already in the kitchen. So I've gone back to do what I was doing in the kitchen, and I've left her with Bumpy. I come back and they're all over each other, and I'm like, what am I seeing? And they do not even seem startled or baffled by the fact that I've walked in. They just continue with whatever they were doing. And I'm just like, okay. Then I went back to the kitchen, finished what I was doing. At this point, I'm crying. Bumpy came to the kitchen. He's holding me, and I'm like, don't touch me. Just don't touch me. Thank you. And he's like, why? I'm like, because, once we got pregnant, we had a rule. The pregnancy was like our clean slate. The baby is not here and you've already gone back into things we made a rule a few months ago. How are you going to manage with a whole child in our lives for the next 25 years?
What was the rule?
The rule was no more women and no more threesomes. We are going to go back into a normal family dynamic. No more sexual experiments. That was the rule. And that rule was one that he gave, actually. Yeah. So I was very surprised that he'd go back on something he said. And he's like, yeah, I know. But he starts to justify. He's like, but she came, her tits are showing, she looks all sexy. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. I served myself my food and went to the bedroom, watched my movie, and just operated as though they were not there. He came and he's like, it's okay, I've told her to go home. And I'm like, you seemed excited, she was here, so just stay. I'll be fine. I locked the room. He thought I was joking. I locked the room and he wasn't able to enter the room and access me. The morning I woke up, went to work. I think it was my last day of work because my due date was really approaching. But this girl was still there. She was asleep on one end of the couch and Bumpy was on the other end of the couch.
What do you mean there? When you woke up the next day to go to work?
She was still in the house.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
After I've been told that, she left. So I was very surprised. I was like, oh, interesting. So she sees me, Bumpy sees me, he's awake, and he's like, you locked the room? And I'm like, yes, I know. The girl is like, I'm sorry, Bumpy told me about the argument you have, and I'm sorry I went against it. I'm like, you're sorry because Bumpy told you. I also told you before you walked into the house. So you respect nothing about me or about Bumpy.
Well, what did you think would happen if you had her over? Did you genuinely think that she was just coming to see you guys, see how you guys are doing?
Genuinely, yes. I just expected her to be a friend and to take what I told her as that. So I genuinely expected her to come, see me pregnant, I don't know, help around the house and leave. But that's not what happened. But later on, I came to know that Bumpy actually found her on social media and told her that I was okay with the threesomes. So she came knowing what Bumpy told her. And what I told her about, we're no longer doing threesomes. The moment she told Bumpy about it, Bumpy was like, we've just spoken about it and we are go. So she came knowing that our threesomes and that whole dynamic is a go. So she just came and picked it up, from where she left. But from my reaction, she now knew something was off, and she was willing to now leave us alone. And I was like, since Bumpy is the one who's giving us go-aheads around this house and I have nothing to do with it, let him decide. As for me, I have to go to work. I went to work, I moved around my day very well. I came back home and she was still home. And me and my hormones, I just wanted to be in my house with my husband. I just entered the house and asked, why are you here? Is what I asked her. Why are you still in my house? Bumpy's like, why are you talking to her like that? I'm like, because she's in my house. She is a guest. She needs to leave. She's like, oh, Bumpy told me to stay. I'm like, I'm the woman of this house and I've told you to leave. I took her clothes, threw them across the living room, and I'm like, leave right now. Makit was around 7. And she's like, I live very far. And I'm like, I don't care. Just leave my house now. Bumpy is like, no, it's okay. Let her spend. And then she can leave in the morning. I'm like, you know what? That's what you want. I will go to my mom's house and you will stay here with your guest. And in the morning when she goes, you will tell me, your wife, if you want me back into our house. And he slapped me. And I and the lady all looked at him like he was crazy. This lady just took her clothes and left. And I was like, oh, now you're slapping me in front of another woman because I'm asking the woman who's not your wife to leave. And he's like, yeah, because you and this pregnancy, all you've been doing are things that you want. And I'm like what, for example? Because the only thing I've told you right now is I want the woman gone, but you seem not to want her gone. He slapped me again. And I'm like, okay, I think, Bumpy, something's wrong with you in your head. Because you can clearly see that I have your child in my tummy, right? Right now, it's I want the woman gone, but you seem not to want her gone. He slapped me again. And I'm like, okay, I think, Bumpy, something's wrong with you in your head. Because you can clearly see that I have your child in my tummy, right? And I feel like he was in a trance of anger. The moment I said, I'm having your child in my tummy, I'd see him awaken from something. He'd shake his head like he's just waking up from a trance. And I asked him, are you okay? He's like, I'm so sorry. At this moment, I don't even want him to touch me.